welcome back and thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Daybreak on Trusted Television and it's good that you're still with us. Right now, it's time for us to open the phone lines for you to join the conversation. Like I said before the breather, we are talking about the federal government ruling out the ransom for abducted students. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave a directive that no ransom should be paid to kidnappers no matter the amount of pressure. So the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this yesterday before the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Aso Rock. That was on Wednesday, I beg your pardon. And then the minister noted that the government is working round the clock to make sure that those children that were kidnapped, the students that were kidnapped, are returned to their families. Now, let's take a look at how this is all turning out. In Kaduna State, not less than 200 students, pupils and their teachers were taken away from Kuriga village, and 16 residents abducted in Goningora. All of them are still with the kidnappers. Now, while the kidnappers of 16 citizens of Goningora were reported to be demanding a ransom of 40 trillion naira, 11 Hilux vans and 150 motorcycles for their release, nothing has been heard from those that took away the students of Kuriga School. Now, it's time for you to lend your voice to this conversation. To join the conversation, you can call us or drop a WhatsApp message on the number displayed on your TV set. Please stay away from your TV set to enable us to have a very, very smooth conversation on the show this morning. We're talking about abductions and the president directive that ransom will not be paid no matter the pressure. Now the question is, what's your take on this development? Call us on the number displayed on your screen, and if you cannot call us, that is why we have another option that you can explore. That is the WhatsApp portal. You can send us a message on our WhatsApp, and of course, do everything we can to actually look at the WhatsApp and also take your calls at this morning. When you call, please be circumspect. We don't want any statement that will actually, put anyone in trouble this morning. All you have to do is just state it, be civil as much as you can. All right. So let's get into the phone lines now and see who is calling. Hello, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, hello. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from, please.
Yes. My name is Stephen. I'm calling from Abuja.
You're calling from Abuja?
Yes.
Interesting. I love to hear Abuja people speak, but that has not happened in a few times. But it's very wonderful having you on the show. What's your take on this development, please?
My take on this development is that the government has to upgrade their security infrastructure. Yes, the occurrence of these atrocities by these bandits or like terrorists, as we term them, because they realize that there are loopholes in our security architecture. As that's a matter of urgency, warfare, I call this warfare because this is war. These bandits have declared war on the state, the country of Nigeria. So I believe we need hardware, we need security hardware, and the infrastructure, and also development, because I believe that most of these things is due to poverty, and most of these areas are left. In fact, you realize that there are some places in that Kaduna State that no security personnel has been there for maybe 50 years. So what I want to just say is just to encourage the government. It's not easy. There's nowhere where guerrilla warfare is being fought all over the world where the government find it easy, because these people, they hit and run.
So are you aligning with the government that ransom should not be paid no matter the pressure?
Yes, I believe that. The government. Truthfully, I believe that the government can come out and say that they won't pay ransom. But I believe that there's some kind of pressures that let's tell ourselves the truth. No government has ever agreed that they've paid ransom before. But on this, I wish the government stands on their words. I believe that they shouldn't pay ransom. I believe they should, as a matter of urgency, upgrade the infrastructure, as I said, get infrared drones with night capabilities, and and trace these guys to their hideout. And I know that definitely there will be casualties, but definitely you can't let these guys keep on doing this. Government is afraid of casualties, people dying. They abducted people dying. But check the case of Israel. Case of Israel, they took hostages, but you can see what Israel is doing. Israel is fighting back. They're fighting back because they know that definitely there's going to be casualties, but they are fighting back. I believe I think a month ago or so, there was a casualty when some hostages were raising a flag, but the Israeli soldiers still went ahead to bomb the place because they thought it was they thought that. I'm not supporting the Israel-Palestinian war. No, I'm not supporting anybody.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm not fighting.
All right. We appreciate your contribution on the show this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right. There we gave an ample time for that conversation there. I love the fact that, our first caller stayed away from his TV set and we had a good conversation, a smooth one. Let's get into the phone lines again. Hello, good morning and welcome to Daybreak on Trust Television. Your name and location, please.
I'm calling from Ondo State. I'm my name.
You're calling from where?
Ondo State.
Okay, Ondo State. Where precisely in Ondo State are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Owo.
Oh, interesting. Good to have you join us on the show. What's your take on the development? Are you in support of the government not paying ransom, or are you saying that the government should pay ransom?
I heard the government stand on their feet. I don't support government to kidnappers. It isn't that if they pay the ransom, they are encouraging more atrocities to be committed in the country. So I don't wish government to pay this ransom to all these people. In a drastic situation like this, government needs to take a drastic step. They're supposed to eradicate all these things from our land. And it's uncalled for in Nigeria today that all these things are escalating. This is very serious. And we don't want such to happen again. I advise our government to start creating state borders. They're supposed to have borders in our state so that they can correct all these menaces. So all these things that have been happening since all these years, I don't support government paying ransom for all these bandits, because if they pay, they are encouraging more, and if they pay ransom, they will be using that ransom to go and prepare themselves for more and greater war against Nigeria. This is a war. The last person that has spoken well. Is a war against Nigeria, and governments will not keep their hands on these things.
All right.
This is my word. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your contribution to the show this morning. And I just want to put it out there, if you're calling us from a particular state, it will be interesting if you tell us precisely where you're calling from. If you're calling and you're telling me you're calling from Benue State, and Benue State is just Benue State. Are you calling from Makudi? Are you calling from Utukbo? Are you calling from Ogbadigbo? We just have to know about all of this, right? Hello, good morning and welcome.
Hello, I'm Dixon. I'm calling from Obo State, Abakaliki precisely.
All right, welcome, Mr. Dixon. What's your take, please?
What?
Mr. Dixon, you're close to your TV set. I can literally hear myself.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Dixon, I'll just have to let you go there. Please turn down the volume of the TV set, all right? And just move away from there so we can have a smooth conversation this morning, right? Call the number on your screen, or you send us a WhatsApp message. That's another Hello, good morning and welcome.
Well, good morning.
What's your name and location, please?
My name is Gideon. I'm calling from Plateau State, just south local government.
All right, welcome, Mr. Gideon. Go ahead with your contribution. Are you there?
Thank you.
Are you there? Go ahead, please.
I'm listening.
All right, please go ahead.
I want to contribute to the program. In the first place, I want to ask in the first place, is government supposed to deliberate or talk about paying ransom to kidnappers? If government should do that, like we are enforcing failure, in the first place, are we supposed to be talking about the government paying ransom? Because if government decided to pay the ransom, I think government is reinforcing the kidnappers to do more. My opinion is that government should find a strategy that would curtail the issue of all this kidnapping. It will go a long way in helping us. But if government decided to pay the ransom, it will keep on worsening the situation. And that is my contribution.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gideon. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right, the WhatsApp platform is still another way that you can explore lending your voice to the conversation. You can also call the numbers. Sometimes the numbers are busy, no matter how you try, it's just very busy. So take advantage of the WhatsApp platform and let's hear your voice this morning. Hello, good morning and welcome. All right, this is time for me to check the WhatsApp now and see who's trying to send us a conversation via our WhatsApp portal this morning. Hello? All right, the first message on WhatsApp said the government should never think of paying any ransom. Paying it will embolden the bandits, and government should get their location and rescue the children. Definitely, there will be collateral damage. All right, that's a WhatsApp message. You can do well to indicate your name and location. Thank you very much for that. And we also have others coming in at the moment. They're just flipping so much. All right, let's take this call before we get back to the WhatsApp. Hello? Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for joining. Tell us your name and location, please.
My name is Yakubu. I'm calling from Jos City.
Okay, you're calling from... You're calling from Jos.
Jos. Yes.
All right, interesting. Welcome.
You said?
Go ahead, please. What's your contribution?
Yeah, government should not pay ransom, because if you pay ransom to these people, they will just be equipping themselves more. These people are not fighting a cause. They are just out to make money for drugs and other things. And so giving them money will just equip them more to cause more mayhem. I'm telling you this from first experience in that Kaduna. I was adopted for like 6 weeks. And it was not funny. They don't do anything with this money but to prostitute and drink drugs and the like.
Where were you adopted from? From Jos?
No, in Kaduna. I used to live in Kaduna, but...
Yeah, you were abducted for 6 weeks.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry about
so
that.
Paying them ransom is of no use. Listen to me. The government have the wherewithal and the power to be able to cut this thing. The security agencies are just paying lip service to this thing. While we're in there, the jet fighter will come sometimes and just hover over us and then go back. How much money is it to fly a jet fighter for 30 minutes? The foot soldiers, nobody is doing anything. Nobody came to ransom for 6 weeks. Imagine that kind of situation. And the bush is not that they can go around these bushes and then bring these people down.
So how did you get out? How did you get out after 6 weeks?
Ransom was paid, definitely.
Your family paid ransom?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry about that, and we're glad that you're back safe and sound. But thank you so much for your contribution this morning.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a WhatsApp message now. Good morning, Trust TV. The issue of the government not paying ransom is a good decision so that those who are behind the kidnappers involved in all these activities will stop. This is Bobino Africano. Okay, Bobino Africano, you're not telling us where you are texting from or sending us a WhatsApp message from, but indicate that next time. We appreciate your WhatsApp message. Call us or send us a WhatsApp message. Either ways, your voice will be heard this morning. And of course, you get an opportunity to contribute to a national issue. Children are still in captivity, but the government is giving a very, very direct and sound warning that no matter the pressure, we will not pay ransom. That's according to the government. Hello, good morning. We have another caller. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Good morning, welcome. What's your name and tell us the location, please?
Good morning, welcome. What's your
Oh, we lost you there, but when you're calling again, please move away from your TV set. I literally heard myself. So move away and let's have an ample and a smooth conversation this morning on the show. Hello, good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. My name is Ejovi Michael Oiboka, and I'm calling from Udu City, from Delta State.
Oh, Delta. How is Delta this morning? Udu City.
Yeah, Delta is nice. Delta is cool. Everything is okay with us here.
All right, interesting.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to put one or to contribute.
All right, go ahead, please.
It is good one thing not to pay ransom. Another thing, if the government cannot provide the security for this student that has been abducted, they have to get them out. It will be difficult for the family, and that will lead to maybe loss of life. So I don't support pay ransom, but I want the government to bring more effort, improve in the security network to see that these things can be avoided and how these children and these students can be released. That is my take on this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Michael, all the way from Udu City in Delta State. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. So calls there. And Delta is cool this morning. I like the sound of that, actually. Call the number or send us a WhatsApp message via the number displayed on your screen. The matter this morning that you need to let your voice to is the fact that the government gave a directive on Wednesday and said, no matter the pressure, regardless of the situation, we are not paying a ransom for the abducted Nigerians. Hello, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining. And what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mercury, calling from Benin.
Oh, you're calling from Benin City. How is Benin today?
Benin.
Okay, Benny. Where is Benny?
Benin State.
Okay, Benue State. Where precisely in Benue State are you calling from?
I'm calling from Otukpo.
Interesting. I've been to Otukpo before, so I'm very happy that you're calling from Otukpo. So, what's your take on this development?
Yeah, my contribution to this issue. We have the military, we have the Air Force, we have the Navy. Some group of people cannot hold Nigeria hostage because they need money. How can a bandit kidnap school children and demand trillions of naira? Which account the federal government are going to send that money to them? And then what are our military doing? We have the police, we have the SSS that can go around and get some information about those people, but they are not doing their work. So let the government put pressure on the military so that they can rescue that school children back home alive. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, please.
Okay.
All right, that was a caller from Otukpo there, and lend your voice to the conversation this morning. and send us a WhatsApp message if you can, and also call us. Sometimes the calls might just not reach us because of the congestion. But let's take this WhatsApp message. Good morning, Trust TV. For Nigerian government to continue to pay ransom to bandits is to set a dangerous precedent, fueling a cycle of violence and incentivizing further kidnappings. It emboldens criminals, leading to more brazen attacks and putting more lives at risk. Additionally, ransom payments fund criminal activities, enabling the purchase of weapons and strengthening criminal networks. It undermines the rule of law and government authority, perpetuating a culture of lawlessness. Instead, focusing on addressing the root causes of banditry, such as poverty, lack of education, and unemployment, is crucial for long-term stability. Redirecting resources towards security measures and socio-economic development can help break the cycle of violence. All right, that's a very detailed one there, a contribution. But please always put your name and location. It's very important, right? So we know who we're interacting with. Hello, welcome to the show. What's your name and location, please?
Hello.
You're close to your TV set. Can you move away, please? All right. Are you still there?
Hello, good morning.
All right, good morning to you. Welcome. I love the enthusiasm. Welcome.
I'm calling from Kaduna State.
All right, where in Kaduna are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from Jama local government.
All right, thank you so much for joining. What's your contribution, please?
My contribution is the federal government should not pay any ransom to this kidnapper.
Why do you think so?
So, if there any payment of kidnapper, they will now use the money and equip themselves more. So, if
all right, so we're having some sort of distortion from that conversation. I'm sorry, I can continue to take that contribution. Please move away from your TV set so we can have a very smooth conversation this morning. Another WhatsApp message says the government should not in any way pay any iota of ransom. If they do it, it means that we're tired of securing our country as a nation. The security operatives should be adequately equipped to fight terrorism and banditry. You don't do all this without good weapons and good telecommunications equipment. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that message on our WhatsApp this morning, contributing to our conversation this morning here on Daybreak. And it's about the directive of the president saying no matter the pressure, regardless of the situation, we are not paying ransom to rescue the abducted children and, of course, persons they were abducted recently. Hello, good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
What's your name, please?
I'm Chris calling from Benin State.
Oh, you're Prince?
Chris, C-H-R-I-S.
I-S. Okay, Krish.
Yes, please.
What's the meaning of Krish? I haven't heard that name before.
Chris.
Oh, Chris. Oh, I'm sorry. Chris, welcome. What part of Benue are you calling from?
Makurdi.
Oh, interesting. Makurdi is hot today, is it?
Yes, Makurdi is hot.
Makurdi is known for its hot climate. But thank you so much for taking our time to call us this morning on the show. Let's hear your contribution, please.
Yeah, my contribution is I think I advise the present government in power to not to pay any money or ransom to the bandits or the kidnappers, whatever be their names. This money should be channeled to the special force of the Nigerian Army, the Navy, the Air Force, to get all necessary equipment and to clear out these people called bandits, and they can rescue the students.
All right.
But when the country keep paying ransom, then it makes no sense, because other states will start making strategic plans to get money from the government, and then how to get more people kidnapped for ransom to be given.
All right.
So we call ourselves Nigerians and like a giant of Africa. If it comes to the U.S., the U.S. government will tell you they don't have any sitting to negotiate with terrorists.
Okay.
So Nigeria should take that space to make themselves really look like the giants of Africa and make equipment ready. And they say communication is key. Just like a word in the journalism line says, they are the watchdog of the society. Why not work with journalists and also make them look like a professional field that they are, since they don't want to recognize the fact that journalists are professionals also as a career. Work with them. These people can work in the society without uniform and get more vital information and get to the personnel in ways to clear out those people and rescue those.
Thank you very much, Chris. It seems you're a fan of journalism. Thank you for your contribution. All right, thank you there, Chris from Makadi. Let's take this. Ade from the United Kingdom says the problem with us in Nigeria is mismanagement of religion. Having too many children, and there should be a law restricting us to maximum of 2 children only. Then everyone would take it seriously. All right, Ade from the United Kingdom, thank you for your contribution. We appreciate you taking our time to watch us on Trust Television and also contribute to the show. We're gradually getting to the point where I would halt conversation and stop taking contributions, but we still have ample time to actually get more contributions this morning before we move on to our next segment. Call the number on your screen or send us a WhatsApp message and let's hear what your contribution is concerning our matter or our focus this morning. Another message says payment of ransom should not be encouraged, but government should try and encourage families that their loved ones are kidnapped by making sure they are released from their captive. Government should provide security to our citizens. Oloko Adebayo from Ijebu-Ode in Ogun State. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebayo, all the way from Ijebu-Ode here and contributing to the show on Trust Television. We probably will take more WhatsApp messages because I can see some WhatsApp messages coming in. And when we do that, we probably will be closing the phone lines for today. But at this point, I would like to say thank you so far for everyone who has contributed. I hear people from Delta, from Edo State, from Benue State, from Ogun State, and the list goes on and on and on. And like I said, we'll still take more messages and then we will get to the phone line. Maybe one call before we wrap up. Hello, welcome.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much for asking. What is your name?
Yeah, I just want to make my contribution. I'm calling from Delta State, Asaba precisely.
All right, thank you so much. I heard Asaba is so beautiful. I haven't been to Asaba before, but is it?
Yes, Asaba is really beautiful.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Go ahead with your contribution. All right. Go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yeah, I just want to express my displeasure. Our country is getting worse. These banditries, kidnappers are the creation of the politicians. And they want to get back on the politicians as our leaders. And they're not kidnapping innocent children. Innocent children putting their lives on the line. And it's really terrible, and it's going to get worse except our politicians become sincere and turn back to God. Most of them do a lot of criminal activities in order to get to power. All these arms and ammunition that are being used to kidnap these children are what the politicians gave them now to get to power. Let's tell ourselves the truth. And this arms and ammunition they are using against Nigerians, innocent ones. So if they can come out uprightly and repent and change from their evil ways, and let us now come back and think how we can solve this problem once and for all.
All right.
Yes, right. I do not support ransom because it's going to continue to encourage them. But the same thing, these criminals are capitalizing that the politicians are still incredibly stealing our money. So, and this is the opportunity for them to steal back. We are in a terrible situation. We are still talking about budget padding at this period. People are still padding budget.
But regardless of the fact that, regardless of the fact that they have that opinion, is it fair that innocent lives should be on the line at this moment? Because even if the politicians are, in quotes, according to claims, stealing the money, should abductions be the resultant effect to all of this? But thank you so much. I appreciate your contribution all the way from Delta State. All right, thank you so much. Another WhatsApp message said the government can pay ransom. The same government couldn't rescue the children. This is a complete failure of our so-called government. All right, that's a displeasure that it is some Nigerian expressing displeasure concerning what's happening in our country, the abductions and everything that is happening at the moment. I mean, it's very overwhelming. A lot of Nigerians want to react, and the reverse might be the case if your child or any of your relative is that. But that aside, the government said they will not pay ransom, and we're just praying and hoping that these children are rescued unhurt and returned to their families as soon as possible. Let's get to see if we have. Okay, all right. I think I'm getting signals from my producer that I need to round up at this moment, and that's what I will do. Thank you so much for everyone who has contributed from different parts of the country or the world. I want to say thank you for taking our time to type and also call us. We really appreciate that. And let's continue to be good Nigerians and help one another. They say security is everybody's business. If you see something, please say something to the appropriate authority. Thank you very much. I'll see you again for the discussion segment on Trust Television's program, Daybreak. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Where you can also join our live stream on YouTube. You can go back. Had to get the conversation, but at the moment we're about to start the discussion. So this is time for you to listen to our discussion and focus. But you can actually go back to listen to everything or watch everything that we have discussed on the show this morning. Now it's time for our discussion, like I mentioned, and we are taking a look at the recent development, the recent directive by the federal government. And he said the federal government has restored the supply of electricity to the Republic of Niger following the directive, of course. Nigeria and the land borders, the air borders with the neighboring country have been opened. So on August 3rd, 2023, the power supply for Nigeria to the Republic of Niger was stopped as part of sanctions against the neighboring country by the Economic Community of West African States, that is ECOWAS. And earlier in August last year, ECOWAS, led by Tinubu, imposed sanctions on Niger following a coup that toppled the country's president-elect, Mohamed Bazoum, in July 2023. And officers of the Niger Presidential Guard had on July 26, 2023, arrested Bazoum and declared him deposed. So in addition to a one-week ultimatum to restore constitutional order and the suspension of financial transactions, ECOWAS directed the freezing of all service transactions, including energy and transactions with Niger. Now that has been lifted. So the sanctions were, however, lifted on February 24th this year by ECOWAS based on the resolution of the extraordinary summit of the Authority of Heads of State and Government chaired by Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. So Tinubu on Wednesday now directed the opening of Nigeria's land and air borders with Niger. He also directed lifting of all the sanctions against the country with immediate effect. Now to unfold all of this and the impact that it has on business and Nigeria entirely, a man that has been here from the beginning. And we have been having this conversation since the sanctions started, all of this coup, the variant coups across Africa that we have discussed in recent months. We have in the studio Ambassador Haruna Warkani, who is formerly with the ECOWAS Commission and his deputy chair, Nigeria United Nations Social and Economic Council. And he's also a security and international affairs expert. He's a man that wears a lot of cap, I tell you. But let's stay with this. Good morning to you and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning, viewers.
And now, you know, all of this pronouncement by the president, it came not so much of a shock to a lot of people, but, you know, the directive has been given that land and air borders and some restoration of electricity and transactions have resumed. What can you make of this recent pronouncement by the president?
Well, I think it's a joy, we would say. It's joy to the citizens of both countries. Nigeria and Niger share common affinities such that such opening of borders and then lifting of sanctions, restoration of electricity in particular, will bring about a new livelihood across the borders. And we must remember that when electricity was switched off, it affected Niger so badly because one, the fact that it came suddenly, two, it was never expected, and then three, the dependence of Niger on Nigeria's electricity supply was almost total, and so it created so much problem within the country. And you know, now even the president of Burkina Faso is still very furious, saying he has to charge the president, chairman of ECOWAS, as President Tinubu, for murder, mass murder, because a lot of people died as a result of the switching off of electricity. We must remember that when such things happen, there must be some people maybe in ICUs, that's intensive care units, in hospitals, children and the rest of them, a lot of things that are dependent on electricity. Once switched off suddenly, without prior or due notice, certainly will have its own repercussions. And that had happened and gone, kind of restored, electricity restored. However, like we said, sometimes last year, that act was very wrong, very, very wrong against any country because electricity supply to Niger had nothing absolutely to do with ECOWAS. And therefore, the crisis in ECOWAS then shouldn't have affected the electricity supply to Niger. But that as it may be, on the economic sanctions, like we said, affects the poor more than the government for whom you are trying to extract some concessions or what have you. So when sanctions were imposed, borders were closed, financial, political, social, etc., etc. It had negative implications for the countries affected. But it also has a boomerang effect because when you close borders, border closure means two-way thing. It's not coming in and it's not going out. And therefore, there were trade that was piling up in Niger coming into Nigeria and vice versa. And this has definitely impacted negatively on both economies of these countries. Now, Nigeria and Niger, however, are such that the borderlines are very porous. You don't really have a borderline, so to say, because there are no natural barriers demarcating these two countries. No river, no mountain, no valley, nothing absolutely on the ground to say this is the country here and that is the other one here. You stepped here, you are in this country, you step back, you are here. The border communities on both sides are literally the same people. from the Lake Chad area down to maybe Katsina, you will see that most of the citizens of Niger are Kanuris. They share common affinity with Kanuris in Borno and Yobe, Jigawa states. So when you say you've closed borders, yes, borders were closed officially, but trading was still going on. And we did say here on this platform, when you impose sanctions, sanctions don't work the way you always want them to be, because there are people who deliberately will want to bust these sanctions.
But as a nation, let's say the bloc now, ECOWAS, are in support of a democratic government. And then we saw a deviant of coups that was going to jeopardize what ECOWAS stands for. What could they have done better to, instead of the sanctions that was meted on these countries?
Well, dialogue, like it is happening right now, we have fought, let me say, in quotes, the bloc and the deviant countries, in quotes, have fought and now are back to the negotiating table, kind of, though it's becoming rather too late in a way, because these countries that have decided to leave ECOWAS are finding it very difficult to come back.
Why is that, though?
Yeah, they are enjoying a new freedom. They are enjoying the true independence that they never had since the 60s. This is the time that they are having. France is no longer here in their midst, creating all the problems that France had done over the years. So these countries have asserted themselves for the first time. And you can imagine a situation where the Minister of Finance in France has to dictate to these Francophone countries what happens with their economy. That's why you do not hear of anything like budgets in some of these countries, because their budgets are strictly controlled from France. Now those things are gone. Yes, there will be initial difficulties of settling down, because it's going to be a new paradigm. However, with time, these countries are definitely going to see that with their new acquired freedoms, they might be able to do some other things better than it has ever been done before. One of it would be like the announcement that, yes, Russia is willing, ready, and prepared to build a nuclear power station for these countries. Now, energy supply deficiencies and what have you have become so endemic that all our businesses in this sub-region in particular have been like down because of lack of energy, including Nigeria.
Of course.
Now, if we are to solve that energy problem alone, you will see what it will do to the economy, to social being, livelihoods, small businesses, and the rest of them. And that is what would be like the first dividend of the coups, let me say. Because
so, now that the sanctions have been dropped, a lot of people are expecting that, you know, let's come back to the table, let's have a negotiation. And like you mentioned, that's what should have been put first before the sanctions were meted in this country. Now, do you think that with these sanctions being dropped and the recent development of borders, air and land borders reopening, do you think that these agitations will stop? Do we see countries who will be returning to democratic government? Do we see nations who like, okay, I think we should come back to ECOWAS?
I think we should come back to ECOWAS maybe very far, very, very far to my mind, because like I said, these countries suddenly are enjoying new freedoms that never existed before. They've never woken up as a country to find that the French ambassador was no longer in their midst. They've never woken up to a day that France was no longer dictating to them what should happen in their country, as far away in Europe, and then you are dictating what should happen to African countries. Today, they have earned that. They have become truly independent in a way, and it now remains for these countries to fashion out some other new things. In that regard, it might be difficult to bring them back to the fold. ECOWAS needs to do a lot of work, a lot of background diplomacy to be able to bring these people back to the fold.
When you say a lot of work, it just brings in my head that what do they have to do? What back do they have to break to bring these people back?
Okay, there may be more concessions that ECOWAS has to do. Don't forget, sanctions were unilaterally imposed on these countries. And they said, okay, as a reaction to these sanctions, which to them were illegal, because sanctions ought to have been such that there would have been very cogent reason. The only reason being that there was a democratic, change of democratic governance in those countries. Now, ECOWAS, after some time, has realized that these people have said they are going, and they went without even due notice. They said they have taken sovereign decisions to leave the fold, and they left. The implications of leaving were so many. We've not really looked at that. Now, after some time, ECOWAS discovered that instead of dismembering such organization that had existed for over 40-something years, we have to do a rethink, because the implication was more countries were going to join this new confederation. And if they did do that, it means ECOWAS would have lost more than half of its mass, critical mass. Size of country, economy, land mass, etc. Strategic considerations made it impossible for ECOWAS to keep quiet while these countries go away. That's why ECOWAS, on its own, unilaterally again, lifted the sanctions following the extraordinary meeting of the heads of state and government. Now, you can see it was a loss of face for ECOWAS in the first place, because what you wanted to achieve with the sanctions never was achieved. The military rule is still in place. These guys are not even willing to negotiate now an exit date or elections or whatsoever, because they have been kind of emboldened to say, yes, we said you did it wrong, you got it very wrong, and now you have come back. You have literally taken back everything you said, and you have removed the sanctions by yourself. By yourself.
So this act now, does it mean that ECOWAS is losing its hold on the member countries?
ECOWAS has lost, for sure. ECOWAS has lost.
So what is the repercussion of all of this?
We must be honest with that. ECOWAS has lost its grip on the member countries, and then a big lesson has also been learned, that next time, no unilateral or illegal sanctions or precipitate actions taken on any member country like it has been done before. We did say here sometime last year, switching off light for a whole country was criminal, truly. There's nowhere anyhow it could have been done. And then when it was not even related to any ECOWAS matter, these countries' connectivity was based on a bilateral international treaty, not an ECOWAS treaty, because it predated even the formation of ECOWAS. This treaty predated the formation or coming into being of ECOWAS. So how do you now use something that happened to now say you are taking such a precipitate action? That has been done, and the lessons have been learned. Now, there are other countries that are having problems that might also result into military coups. It's not only these three countries. And the danger ECOWAS was facing was that if you allow this to persist further, these countries might go the same way. And in that regard, you may have more countries under military rule, and if they so happened, they may also come around to say, okay, we want to even join this new confederation. That means ECOWAS might disappear in itself.
So what can ECOWAS do now to salvage the situation? Because as it seems now, with the explanation and the different divergent views concerning this, it seems that things are looking bad for ECOWAS. What can they do to save their face?
Well, I think the chairman of ECOWAS particularly needs to do much more, like I said, background diplomacy, because some of these things might not need to come to the fore, public fore. But behind the scene, which we suggested here, some of the prominent leaders in this sub-region need to be engaged fully to go around and assuage these bad feelings that have been created, so that we can possibly reverse, if possible, some of these actions that have been taken already. Talk to these people. They are young men. They are hot-headed, yes. They have good reasons for what they have done, because, you see, we must be honest with ourselves. For instance, these three countries in particular, including Nigeria for a matter of fact, have been battling with insurgency for so many years. ECOWAS never did anything, took steps, kind of, to say, okay, let us assist with this insurgency and what have you. It has been, okay, organizing meetings with the United Nations to bring in the Blue Berets, peacekeeping missions, and the rest of them. However, physically on the ground, nothing happened. No intervention by ECOWAS in any of these insurgencies across Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and even Nigeria. The question is, where was ECOWAS in all this? I think that's a very critical point. Now, if you threaten these countries with invasion, military invasion, because of military coup, why not invade the terrorists when they were ravaging all these countries? You have a standby force. What was the use of the standby force? You leave it until a democratic government is overthrown. You say you are activating the standby force to go and invade a sovereign country. No, that was a wrong decision. Now, these are some of the key things that perhaps behind the scene, ECOWAS may need to emphasize. Hey, for the first time, we have taken a decision that the ravaging impact of these insurgencies, we might now use our standby force, by strengthening this standby force, to actually intervene in these situations. Nigeria needs it badly. We are battling with kidnapping, we are battling with insurgency everywhere, here and there. So if the regional bloc has an effective standby force, let this standby force come in and assist these countries. That kind of offer would perhaps trigger some thinking to say, okay, maybe the organization suddenly has realized that there were some things that were done wrongly, but now, since we can have this kind of approach, perhaps, yes, let's give ECOWAS a chance, so that the confederation of the AES states can still come back, because that's going to be the most disastrous thing to allow to stem, to be sustained if ECOWAS is unable to reverse this. And the chairman of ECOWAS today would perhaps go down in history as one man that has come and in the shortest possible time has dismembered ECOWAS. I think that will be a very sad commentary wherever and whenever. So he needs to do everything within his powers to make sure this thing is reversed.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your contribution always on the show. And I've needed more time to discuss this, but as it stands now, we do not have time. But I would like to say thank you so much for finding that time to be a part of the show and explaining some of the intricacies that probably we didn't find to be, believing to us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
All right, so our guest has been Ambassador Warkani. Like I said, he wears a lot of cap, but of course he's an international and a security analyst, and he has been our guest on the show on bundling, the president directive on lifting the sanctions and opening air and the land borders to Niger. This is the end of our conversation, but we will be getting into the newspaper review, where we take a look at some selected national dailies. Do not go anywhere. Daybreak returns in a bit. Stay with us. Welcome back. Welcome to Newspaper Review on the Daybreak Show. This is where we take a look at some selected national dailies and then we'll make something out of it. Our reviewer will be joining us at the studio any moment from now. But before then, let's take a look at Daily Trust. As a tradition, I have a copy in front of me, and the screaming story here is on budget padding. It says insertions by National Assembly legal. That's coming from Bagudu. The writers attached to the story, Fabio won't resign, and Senate spokesman replies PDP. Principal officers received over 200 million naira. That's coming from Ndume. And Atiku demands probe. Page 4 has details of that story. Above that, we have how man allegedly killed sister's husband over 20 naira sought. These are kind of headlines you see and say, how did this happen? How did we get here? But page 10 has details of this story. Tinubu writes National Assembly demands reenactment of Student Loan Act. Page 5 has details. Let's take a look at the bottom now. Port Harcourt refinery to commence operation in 2 weeks. That's a bold one. Page 19 has details of that story. Then Kano POS operator returns 9.9 million naira mistakenly transferred to his account. Page 10 has details of that story of a good Samaritan there. Drunken father mistakes 9-year-old daughter for wife. And now in my head, I'm thinking, what happened? Get details of that story on page 7. Now we have a pictorial of traders stranded and ordered display wares outside at Wuse Market yesterday as activities shut down and following Tuesday's violence in Abuja. All right. Let's take the last one that is on school abductions. NSA service chiefs and northern governors meet as bandit demands 1 billion naira for 287 Kuriga pupils. And then EU launches 40 million euros empowerment fund for Sokoto, Kano and Jigawa. That's the stories and the front of the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's move on to Punch newspaper. The lead story on the Punch says is on school attacks, and it says bandit demand 1 billion naira for 287 pupils and issue March 27 deadline. It said kidnappers called on Tuesday, gave us 20 days to raise ransom, says community leader. Another writer says hostages held in difficult location used as human shield to prevent bombardment. Defense headquarters with that statement there. Above that, we have Senate reviews 30 trillion naira loan documents and summons CBN officials. Page 36 rather of the Punch has details. And then Facebook, Netflix, Google, others pay 3.2 trillion naira tax. That's coming from MBS. Page 36 has details. Then Port Harcourt refinery get 450,000 barrels crude, resumes operation in April. Page 35 has details of that story. And then we have politics over. It's time for governance. Tinubu tells governors as iftar. Page 22 has details. Then the bottom strip, Nigeria leads as ECOWAS members default on 150 judgments. And another story says many injured, 18 arrested as youths attack Ogun Monarch. Page 4 and 5 of the Punch has details of that story. Amotekun heightens security in Osun boundary communities. That's page 41 there. That's all the stories in the front of the Punch newspaper for this morning. Let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. And of course, the Guardian newspaper, there's a lot going on in front of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's get to it as soon as we can. All right, there's a jackpot of modern slavery. There's a pictorial depicting that. That's a big story this morning. It says how UK visa system deportation risk silence exploited care workers. All right, pages 4 and 5 has details of that story. And federal government seek new Student Loan Act jail term for offenders. And Kaduna abductors demand 1 billion naira 13 to kill victims. Page 29 has details. And we have another one that said man bags live jail term for introducing neighbor's daughter to pornography. That's page 8, a commodity in that story. Then 2 years after ascension, Olubadon joins as sisters at 82. A very sad development. Page 2 has details. And then retired officers to sue IGP Scribe over contempt of court order. Page 8 has details. Akpabio threatened over Ningi's suspension as federal government dismisses budget padding claims. Page 8 has details. Internet outrage cripples business operations in Nigeria and orders. Page 15 has details. And lastly, IPOB rejects ranching in Southeast, urges governors to defy presidential order. And that's the stories in the front of the Guardian newspaper this morning. The last paper we'll be taking is from, the last story is actually from the Nigerian Tribune. The lead story is on insecurity. Say NSA, security chiefs and northern governors meet as military working with foreign partners to rescue abducted citizens. That's coming from the DHQ, Defense Headquarters. Page 5 has details of that story. Above that, we have Oba Balogun Olubadan of Ibadan land joins as sisters. That story started on the front page. And then we have lawmakers have no business with constituency project. Akintola with the statement. Federal government set aside 100 billion naira for consumer credit in 2024 budget. That's coming from Bagudu. Page 2 has details. And Tinubu transmits student loan bill to reps. Page 2 has details of that story. And below the lead story, we have international undersea cables in West East Africa damaged and internet services and banking affected. All right, you might just want to know if Nigeria is included and maybe what we've been experiencing in the recent days is associated with this. But get more details on page 4. Get all the facts right, all right? And then alleged budget padding. Atiku demands immediate probe. Page 2 has details. And then we have police recover body part of Murdered Rivers DPO 6 months after. A very sad one there. Page 12 has details of that story. And then Port Harcourt refinery to begin production in 2 weeks. Kyari says, and he also says that 450 barrels of crude delivered and crude oil production increases in Nigeria and Libya. That's coming from OPEC. And now Nigerians are asking, would this reduce the cost of fuel, the price of fuel rather? All right, joining us this morning to review the papers, we have Nuruddin Abdullah. He is an editor with the 21st Chronicles. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning, Abdia. Thank you very much. And of course, let's take a look at the story now on the budget padding. This story has been making a lot of rounds from, I think this is the 3rd or 4th day, from last week actually. And right now, Akpabio won't resign. The Senate spokesman is replying. And then the insertions by the Assembly legal, that's coming from the Minister of Budget and Planning. Now, taking a look at all of this development, what can you make of this story at the moment?
I think there are two fundamental things. Like the minister said, the National Assembly statutorily has the powers to alter, to add, or to deduct the appropriation bill transmitted by the president. What the presidency transmits to the National Assembly is simply estimates, proposal. They are constitutionally mandated to approve every kobo to be expended by the federal government. Therefore, they have that right to add, to increase, to change, and modify. So, unfortunately, the padding lexicon came into our political landscape during the Buhari's era, 2015, 2016, during the Saraki's National Assembly, you understand. The second thing is this, the constituency project issue. Like the Minister of State, Buhari said the budget has been padded because some lawmakers move projects from location A to location B, C, X, Y, and Z. They have that right. If the president or if the presidency have an issue with that, they should go to the Supreme Court for interpretation. We saw what happened during the last days of Buhari, where he just hurriedly changed our national currency. some state governors went to court. And there was a judgment faulting the procedure adopted by the federal government. So if constituency project, the lawmakers, some of the lawmakers or some of the executive and believes that it is illegal, they should seek interpretation. Why do we have constituency projects? If they are elected as a House of Reps member or as a senator and go to the two chambers, propose, contribute, make the best bills you can think of, your constituency will not give a damn. If you like, all the bills, sponsor all the bills. If you don't buy motorcycles, if you don't find jobs for your constituents, if you don't share money, if you don't buy fertilizer, if you don't share palliatives, your second term is zero. So that is it. Many Nigerians don't even understand the workings of the National Assembly. They are there to make laws, not to build feeder roads, not to construct boreholes, not to construct PHCs, not to do this and that. But if you don't do that,
are you faulting the constituency projects now? And the money allocated? That is
why the constituency project came into being. It has been there since 1999. An allocation, a proposal is usually being made and transmitted to the president, by the president to the National Assembly. And it is shared among the 109 senatorial constituencies and 260 House of Reps federal constituencies across the country. And it is the psyche of Nigerians. You see lawmakers going helter-skelter, looking for jobs from one federal ministry to the other, even buying. Whereas that is not their statutory mandate. Exactly. But if you don't do that, Nigerians will not even understand you. So these are the issues.
There's sure a lot of issues concerning the budget padding and, this recent development.
But padding, as just like the minister mentioned, is legal. It was the Buhari and his men that said that they have, and what.
Like you mentioned, the lexicon, the padding lexicon. But let's move away from the padding issue.
Just briefly, maybe the only thing, if you look at the Ningi saga, is this. The NJC, the National Assembly should mandate the NJC, NNDC, FCT, and what have you, to submit their budget breakdowns during the consideration, not at the committee level. Because if this statutory transfer that is causing all the uproar,
this could help
because they are vague. We just allocate 30 billion to this, no breakdown. To deepen transparency and accountability, particularly to Nigerians, their budget should be made public, just like the federal government budget. Minister is arguing that these agencies are constitutionally created, right? But the National Assembly has the right that when the federal government is sending its own estimates, they should bring it along those agencies that are creation of the Constitution, so that Nigerians will know. Let's know what the NJC is doing. Okay. And what have you. When we do that, all this padding, whatever, it will be. But as it is now, there are billions, some even trillions, that are being inserted into the budget without any specific budget line.
Interesting that.
You understand?
Okay.
But if they are clear on this, pick the budget. You approve 1 naira, it is going for this. Then we'll see how. Take for instance, there are some budget lines, billions or hundreds of millions for deep freezers.
And
you know what that means? I remember a minister, one of the senior ministers under Buhari's administration, he had about 3 ministries under him. They inserted 20 billion. Hanging. Just hanging. No breakdown, no nothing.
That could actually compound some of the problems.
The bureaucrats have their way, but to stamp out corruption, to deepen transparency, And to cultivate confidence of the public, these statutory transfers should come along with their breakdown. Let Nigerians know what the billions, what the trillions are going for.
All right. So let's take a look at the Port Harcourt refinery now to commence operations in 2 weeks. We've anticipated this, and it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Do you see this happening? Like in 2 weeks, like they mentioned, because we've had a shift of dates, we've had a facility touring and all of that.
What is the capacity of the Port Harcourt refinery? So we have now shifted grounds from the Dangote refinery. You know, there was celebration that when Dangote refinery comes on board, it will crash the price of the PMS.
Oh, a lot of Nigerians are anticipating that.
But that did not happen. The truth is this. It's a good development that at least we will now restart local refining of what we consume. But that's not enough. That is not enough. So Nigerians shouldn't be overexcited.
Well, shouldn't be thrilled about this development.
No, it's a good development. But we have a refinery in Port Harcourt. We have it in Kaduna.
Yes.
2 in Port Harcourt. It's just one. We have 4, but only 1 is coming on board. So a lot needs to be done.
Exactly.
Just like the GCO of the PCL.
Melekari?
Yeah, exactly. Did in ensuring that the Port Harcourt refinery is back on the track. Let's repeat the same thing for the Kaduna, the Wari refinery. When you have the 4 working, then we should begin to talk, and we should begin to say, okay, by the end of the 2nd quarter or 3rd quarter of the year, or the 1st quarter of next year, we will no longer be importing the refined product. But for now, it is not yet Uhuru, like they said.
Okay, so let's take a look at this last story quickly because we have limited time. IPOB rejecting ranching in Southeast and urges governors to defy presidential order. What do you make of that story?
It's IPOB, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's political, just a political statement. But we are finding solution. They should know that ranch is not free. During the Buhari's time, Nigeria got some money from, I think, Netherlands also. I'm not, I can't remember correctly. The then governor of Benue State, Governor Samuel Otom. You know, he was the commanding officer of the anti-ranching whatever.
Basically, he didn't yield so much.
But he realized that it was later, the moment the federal government mentioned that, he went all about the place, they wouldn't accept it. But he saw like the present minister of works in Ibonyi. He benefited from it. There was about 2 or 3 billion allocated to certain pilot states
That's
to do the ranching. It's not free, for being said. It's an economic development. That's why it is called ranching. And unfortunately, you know, most of our governors are not serious. I'm sorry to say that. I don't know why there shouldn't be ranch in Kaduna, in Niger. It's purely business. It has nothing to do with politics and whatever you know. You get money for it doing that. You get value for it.
Right.
But unfortunately, you know, like the IPOP, you know, they politicize everything under the sun without even getting.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We wish we have more time. There's always we wish, but you know, we're grateful for the time that we have, and we're grateful that you know we're able to touch some of these stories and giving us an insight of that. Thank you so much. Mr. Nuruddin Abdullah of the 21st Chronicles,
Century Chronicle.
The Century Chronicles, as our reviewer this morning, and like most Fridays. I'd like to say thank you for being a part of the show from 8 a.m. till this time, and don't forget that our live YouTube streaming is ongoing at the moment. But at the top of the hour, we'll be taking a look at the sports program. Of course, if you want to know what's happening in the NFF and the English Premier League and all the leagues Okay, this is a program you should look up to, as the sports senator will be here on 360 Sports. But from here on Daybreak, I'd like to say thank you for watching. I will see you again next week. Don't forget that Daybreak Extra is on Saturday tomorrow. Stay with us. And my name is Martia Umar. Thank you.